Chosen one, if your soul feels unsettled, if the place you're in no longer feels like home, if people around you can't understand why your heart feels heavy even when life looks fine, know this: Allah is not confusing you. He is relocating you. This is not loss, not punishment, and not delay. This is divine movement. Allah never shifts His chosen servants without purpose. He removes comfort before elevation, familiarity before expansion, and attachment before assignment. Just as Allah relocated Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, before legacy, Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, before leadership, and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, before victory, Allah is moving you now, because the gift He placed inside you cannot awaken where you are standing. What feels like an ending is actually alignment. What feels like separation is protection. Stay with this message, because by the end you will understand why Allah is moving you, why your peace is ahead of you, and why your new home will unlock everything He promised. Discomfort is never accidental when Allah is involved, because before Allah moves the body, He disturbs the heart, and before He changes your location, He changes your level of peace within it, making familiar places feel heavy, familiar conversations feel draining, and familiar routines feel suffocating, not because they are sinful or wrong, but because their time in your story has expired, and Allah, in His mercy, refuses to let His chosen one remain comfortable in an environment that can no longer carry their destiny. So He slowly removes the sweetness from what once felt safe, causing a restlessness that no achievement can calm and no distraction can silence, because Allah is teaching you that peace is not tied to location, but to alignment, and when alignment ends, peace follows it out the door. This is why you may look around and wonder why nothing feels fulfilling anymore, even though you prayed for it once, worked hard for it, and sacrificed to be there. Yet Allah is now whispering through that discomfort that what brought you here cannot take you where He is sending you next. Just as Allah placed unease in the heart of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, before commanding him to leave his homeland, and placed pressure upon Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, before sending him toward the unknown, because divine relocation always begins internally before it manifests externally. And if Allah allowed you to remain comfortable, you would settle, and if you settled, you would delay obedience, and if you delayed obedience, you would delay elevation. So Allah removes comfort not to punish you, but to protect you from stagnation, for stagnation is more dangerous to a chosen soul than struggle, and this is why your chest feels tight in places where you once felt peace, why your soul feels disconnected from conversations that once excited you, and why your heart quietly longs for something you cannot yet name, because Allah is detaching you gently before He moves you completely, and this discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is proof that Allah is preparing you to leave what is familiar for what is purposeful, and the moment you stop fighting the discomfort and start listening to it, you will realize it is not anxiety, it is guidance, not confusion, but instruction, not loss, but mercy, because Allah never relocates His chosen ones. Suddenly, He warns them through discomfort, so they do not mistake divine movement for personal failure. And when you finally arrive where Allah intends you to be, you will look back at this unease and understand that it was the first mercy, the first signal, and the first evidence that Allah was already ahead of you, preparing a place where your soul could finally breathe. Allah never commands a chosen one to move while leaving their provision behind, because the one who controls destinations also controls sustenance, and the one who writes your steps is the same, one who writes your rizq, meaning relocation in the path of Allah, is never reckless but divinely ensured, even when your bank account, plans, or support system appear uncertain to the human eye, for Allah does not guide His servants toward emptiness, but toward fulfillment, and what feels like risk is actually trust being tested, because long before you sensed the need to move, Allah had already deposited what you need in the place you have not yet reached, just as He caused Zamzam to spring forth in the desert before Ismail, peace be upon him, could even understand hunger, and just as He provided shade, food and protection to Maryam, peace be upon her, in isolation, proving that provision does not follow comfort but obedience, and this is why Allah often removes visible sources of security before relocation, not to frighten you, but to detach your heart from intermediaries so you recognize Him as the sole provider. For if provision came through familiar channels, you might believe the job, the people, or the system sustained you, when in reality it was Allah all along. And when you step forward despite uncertainty, Allah responds with provision that arrives in unexpected forms, through unfamiliar hands, and at surprising moments, teaching you that rizq is not tied to geography, titles, or people, but to divine decree. And this is why fear whispers when you consider leaving what you know, because fear focuses on what you are leaving, while faith focuses on who is leading you. And Allah promises that whoever places their trust in Him, He will be sufficient for them, meaning your sufficiency is already written, already prepared, and already waiting, and the delay you feel between leaving and receiving is not absence of provision but a sacred pause designed to strengthen your certainty, because once Allah shows you that He can sustain you without your usual supports, your reliance shifts permanently from creation to Creator, and when you finally arrive at your new home, you will realize nothing was missing, nothing was late, and nothing was accidental, for Allah did not relocate you, hoping provision would appear. He relocated you because provision was already there, reserved, protected, and written in your name. And this lesson will live in your heart forever, because after this move, you will never again fear loss when Allah calls you forward, having witnessed with your own life that obedience unlocks sustenance and trust invites abundance. When Allah decides to relocate a chosen one, resistance from those around you is not a coincidence. It is a sign, a subtle but undeniable confirmation that the change is genuine and divinely orchestrated. Because when you start moving toward your destiny, the very people who once benefited from your presence, your effort, your silence, or your loyalty may begin to misunderstand you, question your intentions, or even oppose your movement, not because you are wrong, but because your growth threatens their comfort, challenges their perception, and exposes the limitations of their own lives. And this is exactly why Allah often places His chosen servants in environments where approval begins to fade as preparation for elevation, for a chosen one cannot be fully liberated while being held hostage by the expectations, judgments, or attachments of others. And just as Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, faced rejection and envy from his own family before he ascended to kingship, and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, experienced disbelief and hostility from his own community before being raised as the seal of the prophets, you too may feel abandoned, misjudged, or opposed when your move begins. Yet this resistance is not a blockade but a signpost, a divine signal that what Allah is calling you toward is significant enough to stir disturbance in the hearts of those who cannot accompany you, and the unease, gossip, or opposition you encounter is evidence that your move is already succeeding in ways that human eyes cannot yet perceive, because nothing that truly belongs to your destiny can remain unnoticed by the world, and if the world resists it, it is only proof that Allah is reshaping your environment, removing what cannot follow you, and clearing a path for what is meant to support, elevate, and amplify you in your new chapter. So do not take resistance personally, do not despair when voices rise against you, and do not feel rejected when those you love cannot understand your journey, for resistance is merely the echo of your own elevation, the reflection of divine alignment, and the confirmation that Allah's relocation process has begun in earnest, preparing you to step fully into the life, the role, and the purpose that only He could have written for you, while simultaneously teaching you detachment, patience, and reliance on Him alone, because a chosen one's heart must learn that true support comes not from people, but from Allah. And once this lesson is internalized, every opposing voice will be transformed into proof that your move is real, necessary, and divinely blessed. Chosen one, listen carefully. When Allah decides to relocate you, He is not only moving your location, He is realigning the very souls around you. Because divine relocation is never just about a place, it is about purpose, mission, and spiritual readiness. And in this process, some relationships that once felt essential will naturally fall away. Not because they are evil, not because they wished you harm, but because their path, their timing, and their capacity cannot match the trajectory Allah has planned for your life. And this is a mercy disguised as separation, a protection disguised as distance, for Allah knows that remaining surrounded by those who cannot understand, support, or align with your divine assignment can quietly drain your energy, cloud your judgment, and delay the awakening of what He has placed within you, just as Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, had to leave his people for a time to be trained in Midian, just as Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, left his family and homeland to step toward legacy, and just as the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, endured separation from those who doubted him, and even sought to prevent his mission before the world was ready to hear his message, so too will Allah ask you to release what is familiar, safe, and comforting, to embrace what is necessary, divine, and purposeful. And this separation can feel painful, confusing, and even unjust at times, because the human heart clings to familiarity and struggles to release what it has grown to love. Yet the wisdom of Allah is perfect, and every detachment is intentional, designed to refine your focus, elevate your vision, and prepare you for what He has destined, teaching you that true companionship is not measured by proximity, by years spent together, or by shared history, but by alignment with the divine journey and capacity to elevate your mission, meaning those who belong will never pull you back, never belittle your obedience, and will naturally support the steps Allah asks you to take, while those who resist, criticize, or doubt your movement are simply not meant to accompany you forward, and holding on to them would only delay your rise and complicate the blessings waiting for you, because a chosen one's elevation cannot coexist with attachments that are misaligned with destiny, and even if your heart aches to release them, this ache is a sacred signal that Allah is preparing you for better alignment, a higher circle, and a purer environment where your gifts, your vision, and your role can flourish without interference, and over time, your heart will come to understand that what initially felt like loss was in fact protection, what seemed like loneliness was in reality divine preparation, and every person who does not follow you into your next chapter was never meant to be part of your destination, because Allah never moves His chosen ones toward their purpose with obstacles disguised as support, nor does He allow unnecessary attachments to slow the awakening of their mission. And the true beauty of this lesson is that once you release with trust and continue forward faithfully, you will begin to recognize that every closed door, every departed companion, and every severed connection was creating space for the people, opportunities, and blessings that were perfectly aligned with your next step, perfectly timed with your elevation, and perfectly designed to magnify the gifts Allah has already placed within you, so that your new chapter is not just bigger, but richer, purer, and more transformative than the old, reminding your soul that some people are chapters, not destinations, and that letting go is not a failure, but a sacred act of obedience, a deep form of trust, and an essential step in the journey of a chosen one, because Allah does not merely relocate your body, He relocates your destiny, and only those whose hearts resonate with that destiny can follow you forward. Chosen one, understand this clearly. Every gift that Allah places within you has a time, a place, and a stage. And sometimes, no matter how long you have stayed, how much effort you have poured, or how much faith you have carried, your current environment will no longer have the capacity to receive what Allah has prepared for you, because every room, every city, every circle of influence has a limit, and when your destiny begins to outgrow its surroundings, Allah signals it through subtle shifts, inner restlessness, and a quiet sense that your potential is being ignored, stifled, or misaligned. And this is the first indication that your gift cannot be activated where you are. For gifts in Islam are not meant merely for display, comfort, or accumulation. They are meant to serve a purpose, to benefit others, and to fulfill the mission Allah has written for you. And when the environment cannot hold your blessing, it will begin to feel foreign, unsupportive, or even hostile, because Allah is preparing your heart to detach, your mind to focus, and your soul to trust, knowing that every limitation you encounter is a protective measure designed to stop stagnation, preserve your energy, and prevent your potential from being wasted, just as He placed Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, in Midian to grow, learn, and be trained before he could fully utilize the leadership gift destined for him, and as He guided Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, through the prison to refine the interpretation of dreams and prepare him for kingship, and as He placed the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, among a society that opposed his message, so that his wisdom, patience, and courage could reach unparalleled levels before the world would accept his leadership, so too is your current discomfort, a signal that Allah is aligning your gift with its rightful environment, and the people, the resources, and the opportunities you have relied upon may no longer serve the awakening of what Allah has placed inside you, because your gift cannot mature where it is restrained, cannot shine where it is hidden, and cannot serve its intended purpose where it is unrecognized. And while the mind may fear leaving, the heart may mourn what is familiar, and the ego may resist detachment. Every step forward is a step toward activation, because Allah does not waste preparation, and every limitation is actually a springboard. Every closed door is a redirection, and every separation is a necessary clearing of space, so that your talent, your wisdom, and your influence can expand into what He has reserved for you. And this is why obedience is critical, because your movement toward the new environment, even when uncertainty looms, is the trigger that allows Allah to activate the gift within you. And the discomfort, the resistance, and the hesitation are all part of the divine process, teaching patience, reliance, humility, and unwavering trust. For once you arrive where Allah intends, the gift that was dormant, restricted, or overlooked will begin to flow effortlessly, blessing you, those around you, and the mission entrusted to you, and you will realize that everything you left behind, every sacrifice, and every moment of waiting was necessary, because your old environment was never meant to contain what Allah has prepared for your new chapter, and understanding this will forever transform the way you see setbacks, separations, and relocations, because what was once a place of comfort becomes a lesson in readiness. What was once familiar becomes a preparation for greatness, and what feels like loss becomes the very doorway through which your gift, your purpose, and your divine destiny finally manifest in the fullness Allah intended. Chosen one, understand this with the depth of your heart. One of the most profound signs that you are being relocated by Allah is uncertainty, the sense that the path ahead is unclear, the destination hidden, and the future veiled, because Allah intentionally conceals what lies beyond your immediate steps to cultivate reliance upon Him alone, to refine your heart, and to purify your trust, for He knows that if the destination were visible from the start, your faith would be rooted in sight rather than submission, your courage in certainty rather than conviction, and your obedience in calculation rather than surrender. And this is why the chosen ones often feel a strange tension, a quiet unrest, or even fear when they are on the verge of their greatest elevation, because the human mind struggles with uncertainty while the heart is being trained to rest entirely in Allah. Just as Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, was commanded to walk toward the sea before it parted, just as Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was asked to leave everything familiar without knowing the precise outcome, and just as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, began his mission in Mecca facing overwhelming opposition, social isolation, and danger, all without a clear picture of eventual victory, because Allah's plan is never revealed in full before obedience is demonstrated. And every step you take into the unknown, every moment you leave comfort behind, and every second you walk by faith rather than sight, is a direct exercise in Tawakkul, a purification of reliance, and a strengthening of the spiritual muscle that will carry you through your new chapter. And understand this: the veil of uncertainty is not a punishment, it is a protection. For if you were aware of the entirety of your destination, you might rely on human strategies, your own intellect, or external validations rather than Allah. And the moment you rely on anything other than Him, the blessing of His plan cannot flow in its fullness, because divine relocation is designed to awaken within you the understanding that sustenance, guidance, and protection come exclusively from Allah. And as your feet take steps toward what is hidden, your heart is being trained to speak to Allah directly, to depend on Him intimately, and to trust Him without hesitation, knowing that He who commands the unseen has already prepared what is better than you can imagine, arranged in perfect timing, and protected from any harm that human perception fears. And this is why the struggle of uncertainty, the moments of doubt, and the periods of darkness are not signs of weakness, but signs of elevation, because Allah does not relocate His chosen servants without first developing patience, reliance, and surrender, knowing that these qualities will carry them through challenges, opposition, and trials in their new chapter, and the hidden destination is a sacred test, a preparation for manifestation, and a refinement of character. Because once you arrive at the place Allah intended, the moment will feel inevitable, effortless, and divinely orchestrated, and you will understand why every moment of hesitation, every second of confusion, and every ounce of faith exercised without sight was necessary, because your reliance on Allah became your armor, your surrender became your strength, and your trust became the key that unlocked every blessing reserved for you. And this is the gift of hidden destinations. They teach the chosen ones to abandon human dependency, to strengthen their hearts in unseen devotion, and to embrace the sacred certainty that Allah alone knows what is best for them, that every step forward is guided, every risk is insured, every move is protected, and every blessing is timed to perfection. And when your eyes finally see what your heart has been trusting all along, you will understand that Allah never relocates His chosen servants into uncertainty without preparing them for clarity, never delays their steps without ensuring provision, never tests their trust without rewarding reliance, and never hides the destination without revealing its purpose in its perfect moment. And this understanding will forever transform the way you walk in life, because the chosen one knows that hidden paths are not obstacles, they are blessings. Veiled doors are not denials, they are invitations, and concealed destinations are not punishments. They are divine mechanisms to awaken the deepest levels of faith, surrender, and tawakkul in the heart of one chosen to carry Allah's plan into its full manifestation. Chosen one, understand this truth deeply and carry it in your heart. When Allah relocates you, He is not merely changing your address, He is shifting your entire destiny, repositioning you to a place where your purpose can manifest fully, where your gifts can awaken completely, and where your mission can begin to affect not just your life, but the lives of countless others in ways you cannot yet see. For a new home in Allah's plan is never just walls, streets, or a city. It is an environment calibrated to receive your contribution, a space divinely prepared to align with the specific role He has placed within your soul. And the people, opportunities, and circumstances awaiting you are not random, they are orchestrated with precision, because Allah never relocates a chosen one without intentionality, and what feels like displacement, uncertainty, or loss is actually divine calibration, removing everything that would limit your potential, distract your focus, or dilute the power of the gift He has entrusted to you. Just as Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, left everything familiar to step toward a destiny of faith and leadership, just as Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, was guided through trials before he could liberate a nation, and just as Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, faced the rejection of his own people before the world embraced his message, for every relocation in the lives of Allah's chosen servants is both a preparation and a promotion, and the discomfort, the resistance, and even the fear that accompany movement are evidence that something greater is waiting beyond the horizon. And you must understand that the new home is not about comfort or convenience, it is about alignment. Alignment with your mission, your gifts, and the divine purpose that has been written for you since before you were born. And this is why some attachments, some old relationships, and some familiar spaces must be released, because they cannot follow you into the magnitude of what Allah has prepared, and holding on to them would only slow the awakening of what He placed within you. Yet every separation is intentional, protective and merciful, designed to create a fertile space for your gifts, for the blessings meant to accompany you, and for the impact you are destined to leave behind. And you must embrace the truth that arrival is not measured by comfort or approval, but by readiness to fulfill the assignment Allah has placed in your hands. And this readiness often comes with challenges, solitude, and uncertainty, because true elevation is never effortless, and a chosen one cannot flourish in a space that is not prepared for the magnitude of their mission. And the environment where Allah relocates you is not random. It is the perfect intersection of timing, readiness, and divine alignment, designed to amplify your gifts, unlock your potential, and place you in a position where your presence becomes a blessing to others, where your influence becomes a testimony of Allah's plan, and where your obedience becomes the key that opens doors no human hand could have unlocked. And when you arrive at this place, the discomfort, fear, and resistance you experienced along the way will reveal themselves as preparation, purification, and refinement, showing you that everything you left behind, every closed door, and every moment of uncertainty was actually a divine setup for the awakening of your purpose. And you will understand that Allah does not relocate His chosen servants merely to change their scenery. He relocates them to awaken their mission, to reveal their gifts, and to establish their legacy, because a new home in His wisdom is always a stage for purpose, a canvas for destiny, and a launching pad for the work He has entrusted to you. And the people, circumstances, and opportunities awaiting you are exactly calibrated to receive the light, wisdom, and blessing that only a chosen one can carry, reminding you that obedience in movement is not optional, trust in the unseen is not negotiable, and faith in Allah is not theoretical, but the very vessel through which your new chapter, your divine assignment, and your true purpose will finally unfold. And when you embrace this truth, your heart will rest, your mind will focus, and your soul will awaken to the realization that relocation was never about leaving. It was about arriving, not about losing, but about gaining, and that your new home, your new chapter, and your new environment are not simply places to live. They are the very arenas through which Allah will manifest your destiny, activate your gifts, and fulfill the promises He has written for you since eternity. And this understanding will forever transform the way you see movement, uncertainty, and change, because the chosen one recognizes that every relocation is divine, every shift is purposeful, and every new home is a calling, a mission, and a stage for the extraordinary plan Allah has prepared uniquely for them. Chosen one, now you understand every discomfort, every closed door, every moment of uncertainty, and every resistance you faced was never random, never meaningless, and never wasted. Allah has been moving you, preparing you, and protecting you, guiding you toward a place, a people, and a purpose that your old environment could never contain. Your gift was waiting all along, and now every trial, every separation, and every moment of patience has aligned you to receive it fully. Do not fear the unknown, do not mourn what you leave behind, and do not question the timing, for Allah's timing is perfect, His wisdom unparalleled, and His plan for you flawless. The discomfort you feel is a mercy, the obstacles are guidance, and the relocations are signs of elevation. Walk forward in obedience, with trust in your heart and certainty in your soul, because every step you take toward your new chapter is a step into your destiny, a step into the awakening of your purpose, and a step toward the blessings Allah has reserved for you. Remember, chosen one, your new home is not just a place, it is a purpose, it is a stage, it is a gift waiting to be activated, and your obedience, patience, and trust are the keys to unlocking it. So rise, move, and embrace what Allah has prepared. For the world is ready for the impact only a chosen one like you can make. And the moment you step fully into your new chapter, you will see that every struggle was a stepping stone, every tear a preparation, and every delay a sign that Allah was always ahead, securing your victory, amplifying your gifts, and positioning you exactly where you were meant to be. Walk forward with courage, walk forward with faith, and walk forward knowing that Allah relocates only His chosen ones, not to take away, but to give, not to punish, but to elevate, and not to close doors, but to open doors that will change your life, your mission, and your destiny forever.